Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, a show all about tabletop gaming news, community, and questions. As always, I'm your host, Jack, and let's get this show started. So our first news item is that Martin Wallace has announced that he and Eagle Gryphon Games have settled their Steam. In a press release on Thursday night, Wallace stated that they've come to a mutually satisfactory agreement, and he acknowledges that they have proper ownership and rights to Age of Steam. This agreement is a pretty extensive list of terms, and it goes so far as to even say that Wallace will no longer speak or even write ill of Eagle Gryphon Games. So if you've been hesitant to back Age of Steam out of some sort of moral opposition, well, now you can do so with a clear conscience. I'm just happy that this whole ordeal is finally over after, like 10 years? And speaking of old games, we have a reprint of the classic Dune coming from Gale Force 9. Father, the sleeper has awakened! This is incredible news. This is a really big story because this game has been like the grail game for so many people hunting through thrift stores never to find it. And it's more than just the fact that Dune is an awesome setting. It's also that this game was the progenitor of so much to come. It had asymmetric powers. It was an area control game with alternate victory conditions. It was heavily thematic. I'm excited to see what comes out of this. You know, it is an old game and it needs some modernization, which for some people that's going to sound like blasphemy that you'd alter the past or dare touch Frank Herbert's blessed works. But I think that if we take the shell of the old game, the fantastic theme that we have, and then we give some fresh life into the Dune property, just like the movie that's coming on the horizon, then we're going to have something really awesome. Besides, tampering with sacred works, I mean, it can't be any worse than those KJA and Brian Herbert novels, can it? Let's go ahead and continue with this announcement train over to Funforge, who has announced Namiji by Antoine Bauza, a sequel standalone game to Takedo, and Renegade announced the Aquacorn Cove board game based on the celebrated graphic novel. It looks to have kind of a cutesy fantasy conservation theme, so that's really cool. Then even Z-Man Games has announced that they have pre-orders open for a reprint of Chinatown, which is another old game that people who like it, they love it. And if you are into games where you can make all sorts of deals with other players, then Chinatown is where it's at, because anything can happen in Chinatown. Now, the last announcement for today, it is a digital announcement. And you're like, whoa, digital board games? You don't normally talk about those, Jack. And no, I don't. I think they're cool, but they're kind of out of the realm of what we normally do here. But in this case, I decided to make an exception. One, because it's Suburbia, and Suburbia is awesome. And two, it's that it's a free app day for Suburbia. This was part of the fulfillment to backers of getting a digital copy of Suburbia for backing the collector's edition. And they decided that instead of just sending out codes, it would be easier to make it available on 2 days for everyone. One of those days already happened, and then one of those is March 20th. It'll be free on the iOS and Android app stores because reasons. I don't know. I guess all I'm saying is if you want a free copy of a really good game in a digital form, then go check it out for free on March 20th. And for our last news item today, I wanted to talk about how Wingspan has been getting so much coverage by mainstream outlets, including the New York Times and Smithsonian Magazine. And if you have watched my review, you know I love Wingspan and think that it is an incredible debut by its designer, Elizabeth Hargrave. And while I think that it totally deserves all the recognition and accolades that it's getting, I'm a little bit disappointed to see that some of these mainstream outlets are treating it as if it's the first board game to be designed by a woman or the first game with a scientific, factual-based theme. I mean, just look at this title from the New York Times. She invented a board game with scientific integrity, and it's taking off. Ugh. I mean, as super pretentious as I find that title, I do think it was an interesting read. And clearly, this mainstream coverage is doing wonders for the game. Used copies are on eBay for well over $100, and new copies, sealed, are definitely more than that. And even Stonemaier Games is releasing a pre-order for an air-freighted copy of the game at an extra premium. So I think this is a good thing to draw attention to a notable board game, and as I said, I think Elizabeth Hargrave deserves a lot of recognition, and we should be celebrating a greater diversity in the board game space. All I'm saying is that after you finish playing the excellent Wingspan, why don't you go and check out some other rad board games by female designers, like Stellar Leap by Carla Kopp, or The Tale of Ord by Rita Orlov, or The Legacy of Dragonholt by Nikki Valens. I mean, those are 3 great games with diverse themes that are worthwhile checking out. If you have favorite games with scientific-based themes or that are designed by females in the industry, then give them a shout out in the comments below. So that's going to do it for our news today, but it's certainly not going to do it for the show today because, as always, I like doing highlights of cool things going on in the community, in the hobby, in the industry, and today I wanted to talk to you about Shadows of Kilforth. Now, this is the sequel standalone expansion to Gloom of Kilforth, which was the debut by All or Nothing Productions. It got a ton of recognition when it came out, but it was a little bit hard to get a hold of after its Kickstarter. Well, the designer, Tristan Hall, has come back to Kilforth after producing and delivering some subsequent unrelated games. So I actually asked Tristan to come on and talk about the project and why he chose to go this route.
Hi, I'm Tristan Hall from All or Nothing Productions, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Shadows of Kilforth and why have I made a standalone expansion to Gloom of Kilforth. So basically, the idea is you're able to jump into the same world and play the same game almost using the same mechanics, but exploring a whole new area of that world. So one of my favourite card games is The Lord of the Rings, the card game, and one of the fantastic opportunities it affords you as a player is to explore all these different beautiful and incredible and dangerous locations in Middle-earth. But you always have to have the base set and expansion after expansion after expansion to sort of be able to keep up to date with the new challenges that are posed. Whereas with Shadows of Kilforth, it was my design intent that existing players would have a brand new experience in the world of Kilforth, but people who are new to the game didn't have to go back and pick up the original Gloom of Kilforth game. They could just jump straight in with Shadows of Kilforth and experience the same sort of epic RPG style fantasy adventure game. So it's been incredibly successful. We're already on over 6 figures on Kickstarter, which is absolutely mind-blowing for us. We funded in 42 minutes, so we're dead excited about the campaign and where it's going to go and what other extras and stretch goals and things we can unlock for it. Thanks very much for having me on the show again, guys. Speak to you again soon. Cheers.
All right, thank you, Tristan, for coming on to the show and giving us the 411. If you're interested in Shadows of Kilforth, it's up on Kickstarter right now. We have a link in the video description below because we love taking care of you like that. Now, we love questions here. We love talking about games here, and because it's tabletop gaming news, community, and questions, I like leaving you with a question. So today's question is, what are your favorite old but gold games? We talked about so many old games here. We have old game controversies, old game reprints, sequel standalone expansions to older games. So what are your favorite games that are over, I don't know, 5 years old, which is pretty much ancient by the industry standards in this hobby? For today, I think that I'll mention the Auction Trilogy, as it's known, or specifically Medici, which I think is still to date the best, most concise auction game that I've ever played. And if you can get a hold of the copy with Vincent Dutrait artwork, mwah, it just looks beautiful on a table. Nothing has outclassed it. It is so simple and distilled to one specific mechanic, and that's how we're going to leave you today. Thank you so much for watching the Cardboard Herald. If you want to support this show, then interact with us. Talk to us on Twitter. Let us know what you think about it, or better yet, help spread the word. All of that really helps, and the more response that we get for this show, the more that we know we're doing things right, or we know what we could be doing better. So again, thank you so much for watching. I've been Jack, and I will talk to you next week. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.